And
Everybody, hello, hello,
Are we
hello,
live?
hello, hello, hello. We are live. We are live.
Yes.
Chat, please tell us. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Everybody, please say
there is an empty
hello.
chair there. Azim is coming. Like
There's an empty chair.
you're
Yes,
not.
yes, yes.
Oh,
He's not
That's not a
Carlos Sainz
technical
it.
glitch.
sorry
He's
for the
not
delay.
Carlos Sainz it. He has
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Sainz it. Hello, hello. Are we all audible? Are we all
Are we
uh,
audible?
audible, edible, visible?
Are we live is the key
Oh,
question.
we've gone live
Uh,
also.
we've gone live, brother. We are all
Brother.
this thing.
Oh, I had a
Hello.
20-second penalty. Sorry.
It's fine. Just don't
Starting a bit
cross
late.
track limits another 95 times. All right, welcome to the Sidepod and our discussion of the Qatar Grand Prix. Ordinarily, this is the part where I just ask everybody to go around and give their opinions, but I feel like the prudent thing to do for this race is to just give the floor to Azim Banatwala and Sherry Shroff to tell their sides of the stories that we know. I've already gotten three different messages from people saying waiting for Sherry to defend Lewis at all costs and waiting for Azim to say Lewis doesn't know how to race.
Not
Listen, I'm
about it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to
Whatever
it.
defense Sherry puts up will
Go
still
for
be
it.
better than Lewis's defense while
Go
driving. Is
for
all
it,
I'm going
Sherry.
to say.
Go for it.
Oh.
Go for it. Go for it.
I
But
think I should have
yes.
prepped a intro speech for today because I knew this was coming. But I mean, as much as I hate to say this, I told you so. I think we've discussed this last time or the time before that, right? Where I said there is going to be a Rosberg Hamilton repeat sitch soon, and I can see it brewing. And I think, I mean, with regards to what happened, obviously, yeah, he was at fault. He's acknowledged it. He's apologized. We've all moved on from that. Now coming to the we
We,
have all moved on
the
from that.
royal we.
Now coming back to the question of this situation and why it's happened is obviously something we've seen brewing, right? And I think with drivers like Max and Lewis, they are not used to having teammates or don't really like having teammates that are in the same league or competitive in that space. And that hasn't really happened with Lewis in a really long time because obviously with Bottas, we've seen what happened and he was winning all the world championships
Not
at that.
happened for Max also for a very long time.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
they are just wired in that, team leader space. And I mean, I also somewhere kind of blame the team for this situation because obviously, clearly, they were on different strategies. And wouldn't you have discussed this earlier, saying that he's most likely going to pass you? Let him pass you, don't crash, whatever, you're on different strategies, whatever. I don't know. I mean, both ways, Lewis was at fault. Yeah, but I just feel like if they were on different strategies, it could have definitely been handled and we could have not seen this. So I think if they're in a competitive car, this is going to be a bit of a scary sitch. And I do feel like we're looking at a. And imagine the one guy who defended Lewis was Rosberg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I hearing this correctly? What's going
Character
on?
development. That is character
Yeah.
development.
Yeah, so I just feel like that is something. I think team management is very important in these situations. And obviously, initially, Lewis said I got taken out by my teammate because he hadn't seen the footage and whatever. But I feel like there's this tension brewing. No matter how much we all say it's all good and whatever, they're both competitive drivers, and that isn't going to end. George is hungry to get wins and possibly a championship in life, and Lewis really wants the next one. So I just feel like this is where the team needs to step in and kind of manage both expectations somewhere. Because even George's whole spiel of, oh, he came out of nowhere, which I mean, I was like, what did you think? He was on softs, he was right behind you. Where else was he gonna come out from? It's not like he came from 8th into 2nd or whatever, that it's like where did he come from? So I think that's where I feel like this whole, go race, do what you want situation might be a bit of a sitch. But yeah. But we've all
Sherry
moved
has
on.
defended
Apology
like a
has
lion.
been accepted. We have moved on.
Azim Banatwala, your rebuttal, your
Yeah.
rebuttal. Yes.
I mean, there's nothing really to say. It was quite clear with that Lewis was just It's quite sad because also I think Lewis was just pissed off from the start, where he's like, guys, how am I the only guy on softs? Is this too much of gamble? What are we doing? And I think he was trying to maximize the position and go deep into the corner and all that. But I mean, the thing is that we had left that little bit more space, everybody could have gone through. So it's just driver error. It happens. I get it. But the thing for me was entertaining was that entire safety car of George Russell going through the entire 5 stages of grief. Like
Yes.
one stage
Yes.
with
And
every
that
sector.
lovely shot, that
Yeah.
shot that like
Yeah.
Netflix is going to like milk for this whole season.
100%.
Lewis Hamilton
100%.
walking and George's car. They purposely slowed it down also to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it extra dramatic. Yeah, fully.
It's
Like,
definitely
yeah,
the
I-
intro and the trailer.
I also
I
enjoyed
kind
Toto getting onto the comms
Yeah.
and just being like, "Abey, गाड़ी चला ना, हो गया अभी."
Yeah.
No, and
Lewis
Toto
कह रहा है, "मैं घर आ
joining-
गया वापस, Lewis, चला ना गाड़ी."
Joining from home, mind you,
Home.
which is what I found
Yeah.
most impressive.
From
He was
home,
like
he's
eating
just
dinner.
like, "God damn it, just
Yeah.
put me on the phone with him."
I kind of tend to agree with Sherry that there is maybe like I think it was all hunky dory from Lewis's end. He conceded, but I feel like Russell is still smarting, like in terms of like
Yeah.
obviously you could see that in the race. Like I mean, he was clearly driver of the day. I think he was like
100%.
Russell. Like the race that he had was like spectacular,
fair.
and he was sort of driver of the day. But I feel like to Sherry's point on the whole sort of Rosberg type of situation, or as we may intend to call it, the Russell tussle that is like impending now with the
Sir, are you the episode title designer for Drive to Survive?
yeah, exactly. Episode 6, the Russell tussle that's sort of coming up. I feel like
Oh my God.
even though it may not be at that, the Lewis Rosberg rivalry built over 3 seasons. Like
Yeah.
it built over like the period of time that was there, and it was very intense and everything.
Over 3
And-
championship seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over 3 championship seasons, and like while right now it's not a championship fight, I kind of feel like the media is going to make it into that. Like I feel like the way
Yeah.
it's being edited together also is brewing this like cool inter-team rivalry, aka Russell Tussle hashtag.
But it's
Hashtag
inevitable. We
Russell
saw it
Tussle.
at Red Bull with Danny Rick also, right? Eventually he left because of him and Max, and it was like he was like, I was the main guy, and like
Lewis
what's
to
happening?
Alpine confirm.
So that's
Lewis
where-
to
Just
Alpine
make him third
confirm.
driver at Alpine.
Yes, that's it.
Three
confirm.
drivers, full
But
party.
without such bad, that's why I feel like the bigger fault lies with the team, right? Like I think that this management needs to happen at where both of them sounded absurd. Where he's like, I don't know where he came from, and I'm like, are y'all not discussing what's going on?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the other.
And I
This
think
is
also
where
Russell-
Aston Martin gets it right, where they're like, our drivers will be so far
So,
apart
There's no chance only.
that there's no chance unless they're
no
being
chance.
lapped. There's no issue.
Unless daddy says, beta Stroll, ja, aage ja, then.
Just
You know,
get
I
your
feel
MBA.
like
Get your MBA.
Lance Stroll's race this Qatar GP was a clinic in the various ways you can be overtaken on track. I feel like there was not a single moment where I was seeing Lance Stroll where he was on the screen, where he was not being overtaken. It was like a clinic in how to be overtaken cleanly. Like what the fuck is going on with that, with Lance Stroll? Like, yeah, crazy.
But
Yes.
best part is that, like, I think that could be like his autobiography: how to get overtaken but still
Taken.
almost get points.
Like-
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, if you can see that the guys behind you, or at least should be told that the guys behind you are doing like F1 open lobby type 15-second, 20-second time penalty, you just
Yeah,
drive
yeah.
within the line for 5 minutes and let them
No,
go
but
10
you-
seconds ahead.
You said if you can see, and there were reports that Lance Stroll was not able to see. His
He can't
vision was
see?
blurry. Like his vision was blurry and shit
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
we
Wow.
should first discuss the race conditions, guys.
Yes,
Like,
but before we
what
get to
is
that,
the
very
race
quickly,
conditions?
I want to just very quickly run through some super chats that are pertinent to what we're talking about. Dominic has said Sherry became the Indian Minister of Defense for Team Lewis Hamilton. Abhishek says the race was like a Pirelli tire test and drivers passing out and getting hungover in a nightclub. These track limits and tire wear problems are too much. Abhishek also says, Azim, what do you make of Pirelli extending their deal to 27 with F1? And you determine which circuits are high-low downforce and high-low drag. And Navneet says, too tired to write a good super chat. And Bonzi says, why is Encore from Sidepod sitting in top left of this podcast? So
Wait, who is this? Who is top left of the podcast?
Talk about.
Oh,
Who is
that's
top
great.
left?
Ponzi, take 100 rupees back from Aditya Bhatt.
Oh, Aditya Bhatt. Okay.
Yeah.
What is this
Oh,
reference?
amazing. Oh
That's
man,
just-
you need to get on. You need to get into the DHH scene, Aditya
But
Bhatt.
yes,
It's
okay.
Yeah, I don't even know
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to set it up, yes. The weekend overall, quite newsmaking for like not the right reasons. Just to sort of sum it all up, one is temperatures, especially given everything that we know about like what happened with Sunday, right? At least in this thing of watching Formula One, it's extraordinary to hear a driver essentially going throw water on me. Throw water on me when I come into the pits.
Ocon
Just
puked in
fling
his
water
helmet
on
twice.
me. All right. Ocon's like, I've puked in my helmet.
Yeah.
There
Guys,
is
guys.
essentially
I was like,
video
I
of
got that.
Stroll not being able to keep his head up. All right. The cool down
See,
room was just basically everyone taking a nap. FIA has to mandate that tires can only handle like a certain amount of whatever this track has. Track limits were so hilarious for everybody not named Max Verstappen. And yeah, so what are your thoughts on? Is this also one of those things where if this was anywhere but Qatar, like with Qatari money, like there'd be just a lot more sort of being talked about, and there has in general this has sort of ignited a debate because there's also been tweets from like Will Buxton and Martin Brundle, and they've sort of waded into it where Will Buxton is like, you know, sorry, gladiator is gladiator, I pay for gladiator, gladiator must fight tiger, whether sun or rain. Basically is Will Buxton's take, and other people are like, you know what, no, there's a sort of endurance level at which the sport can occur, and these were not the conditions that were sort of ideal for it at all, with all of that sort of just as the starting point. Your thoughts on the Qatar GP weekend just as the conditions and race stewardship?
See, first of all, the only preparation I've done for this podcast is I watched about 10 laps of Esteban Ocon on board, trying to see if he puked somewhere. Okay, and I can report that I didn't hear any puking. Actually, I didn't hear him at all for those 10
Lies,
laps.
these are.
Right? He didn't, not one word out of Ocon. His engineer kept speaking, and admittedly, he followed all directions, all this state of charge.
Are we the greatest F1 investigative podcast like
Of
currently
all
in
time,
operation?
yeah.
Like, holy
Dude, that's
shit.
all I was interested in. Because if I knew at what point Stroll was fainting, I would have checked that lap telemetry, but I didn't know. But this thing, it's insane, and like I'm very impressed with 10 laps. I mean, if he said he puked, okay. Lap 15, 16, wherever, I watched till like 23 or whatever. And and his hands never left the steering wheel. His hands have never left the steering wheel for like 8 laps. I'm like, please puke. He's not puking. I mean, he's puking, but his radio.
It's his endurance
I'm
watching.
imagining, I'm imagining a 16-year-old Aditya Bhatt waiting for the sex scene to come on, like in the sense of the movie. Like I was promised in somewhere in this 3.5-hour movie.
Oh my god. He was following all orders. He was hitting all apexes. It's just these guys are something else. If he was puking at that time, first of all, within that F1 helmet, in that car, whatever 70-80 degrees cabin cockpit temperature, hands not off the steering wheel, you're puking. It's and he passed Lawson. He was catching Magnussen. I'm like, dude, amazing.
Crazy. I mean, they're just built different. I think, like, you know, one of the things that all the drivers also sort of mentioned was because of this tire strategy, it was like 57 qualifying laps. Like, basically, they were just like flat out. Well. So, like, you know, that level of intensity to manage in these kind of conditions, it's brutal. And like, again, like, you know, hats off to the drivers and the teams. Like, I think, like, you know, the teams, like, we were all like prepared for the colossal Ferrari, like, you know, whatever was going to happen when it was announced that 3 pit stops to minimum hone wala hai. I mean, the meme game just before the race when Ferrari was sort of getting ready for the race or whatever was next level. But I kind of feel like it also put so much pressure on the teams. Like there was this very intense atmosphere, and coupled with like whatever, like 35 plus degree track temperatures, even in the evenings. Man, I mean, I've seen it like, you know, sort of, these are the sort of extreme weather conditions we've been talking about also, like, you know, in general over the last couple of years now that we've been having this chat. Like, I mean, But there is something to be considered then in terms of also like, look, how far is too far that we're pushing these guys? And is it even sort of, I feel like, okay, at some level, there is a, like, say, Singapore, for example, historically, everybody knows they're going to get fucked in Singapore. It's like 2 hours intense, you're going to lose 4 or 5 kilos. You prep accordingly. But there's like only so much you can sort of push your body, like in terms of being ready to, and at that level of intensity. So there is a debate definitely to be had, and I feel like it's going to get more and more relevant like over the next few years, especially since like fucking kitna races ho raha hai Middle East mein, like I mean, think about it, like there's Bahrain, this thing, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, like all of these places tend to be incredibly hot, and if they don't plan the races in the right seasons and things like that, like I think next year the race is in November, Qatar, so it should
It's
be
later in the year, yeah.
it's later in the year, so it should be slightly better, but like who knows anymore.
So that's the question I want to ask. Like, of course, it's the Qatar heat, but it's also the big point was it was coupled with 50 plus qualifying laps. The pushing and the load that comes with that. And like, did anyone understand why this was like the 3-stop was mandated? Because of the Qatar curbs being too
curbs, right?
So my question is, why not just like you've let it to let the teams handle it? No, tell them the teams will tell the drivers to stay off curbs.
Yeah, and it's not like a Saudi Arabia type track, where you're going to be so close to the walls that if something happens, there's going to be a colossal mass destruction. Like there's gravel trap on more or less every corner. So if you go off, it's fine. And that adds to the, I mean, if you want to talk about F1 being a sporting spectacle and all that, I think one of the most iconic races for me is the Silverstone, where fucking Hamilton's tire has fallen off and Verstappen is whoever, I think was it Vettel or Verstappen who was catching him on the last lap, and like those 4 tires exploding, and it was insane. So this is more less about the sport, to be honest, and more about really Pirelli preserving their reputation. And be like, hey guys, हम लोग का tire ठीक है, okay, हम लोग का tire चलता है, it's okay. But for me, honestly, I think since Bridgestone, like the tires have just never been as good. Like I think if like the good old Bridgestone tires were great, then Michelin came in, and all the teams that were on the Michelin tires were traditionally shit. And Bridgestone,
I think ever since we've had a single tire sort of supplier in the thing, and also like I kind of feel like the Bridgestone Michelin era of like tires was, the level of development that Pirelli has had to, I feel like, endure since it has come into the sport as the sole tire supplier is crazy. We went from V10, those smaller cars, to so much more downforce suddenly, to like much heavier cars now. I mean, I think it's like, obviously, there is some marketing to it as well, but I also sort of feel like this race was a good example for why, like, we should have at least a 2-stop race. Like, I feel like at least a 2-stop race, like 3, like a mandated, like if you were, like, I feel like one direct, like, outcome of this race was like, hey, if you get your teams, you're taking 3 tire compounds there anyway, you're getting them to use at least 2, get them to use all 3. And you get at least a 2-stop race. And I feel like the tire differential, like with somebody being on an old medium and somebody being on a fresh hard or something like that, that added a lot to the sort of mechanics of the overtaking and things like that. So I feel like at least one takeaway from this like entire clusterfuck, as Rohan sort of articulated at the start, is like, hey, maybe this adding an additional pit stop could really spice things up strategy wise and overtaking wise on track.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, not to like, I mean, obviously compare because it's not usually possible to do the kind of things that you do in sim racing. But like, for instance, the kind of stuff that people would do, you would see if you had mandated this 2-stop thing. Like, for instance, you could just go into the pits in a safety car, put one medium on, in second lap, come back, put your hard on again, pit stop, done, go.
Yeah.
So these kind of things could happen, but then the tire then needs to also be that durable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is the concern.
Okay, now my question, are we only having this conversation because of the Max Verstappen domination? Like this idea of needing to spice things up, like with 4 races to go? Or because here's the thing, and we've come to this question before, where is the line between a good rule set and modding.
Yeah.
Right? Where
Deep
is the
cut,
line
bro.
between a
Correct.
good rule set and just modding the game to sort of now make it more fun because you've
So should we just do that then? Like if your leader is 100 points ahead, then you are allowed to add one more upgrade. If it's 200 ahead, then you get nitrous. Like
But
close the gap and then you can do all this.
it's also, I think they're doing too many things like too fast now in F1 to try and keep up with the newer people, to keep everyone entertained. And they haven't really, I feel like, given each scenario thought. Like even with the sprint, for example, when you have a opening incident and there's like a safety car for like 8 and 9 laps, you're like, that's half the race. What are we
There were 3 safety cars in that sprint.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
what
in
was
that
that?
situation,
What
either
was
then
that?
red flag it, clear the damn thing and restart, because there are only
Yeah.
so many laps. So what's the point of them going round and round in
Also, that Saturday format, the sprint Saturday is still so broken and
But
jagged.
that's what I think. They're just adding stuff without really, planning and thinking, okay, what do we do if there's an opening lap incident and we have a safety car for 10 laps?
I will come back to this point. I have never in my life, while watching a sporting event, decided to schedule my day as, what would be delightful is if I watch 44 minutes of qualifying and then go do something for exactly 4 hours else and then come back and watch another 45 minutes of this. What are you talking about, boss? Like, that makes no sense at all. It's not fulfilling at either end.
Like there was just so much going on this weekend, right? Like with the sprint weekend, plus the tire situation, plus the heat, which is what I think I'm saying. Like they don't account for half the stuff, and then it's like 2 hours before. Okay, now this is what's you have to change your tires, right?
I feel like I can put my McLaren hat on and defend this race entirely. Because
do it. Before we get into that, because we do need to talk about it. I'm going to do remaining super chats. Vishnu says, I feel Qatar GP needs to go. It's just terrible for the drivers, and the track also I don't feel is that great. Yeah, track's whatever. God damn, it's flat though. I mean, it must be said. Like, it's very flat.
It is made for MotoGP technically, and fair. Like now, you've got cars.
Amir says, we all wish for more entertaining races, and the Qatar temperature related issues fulfilled it. So let's smile. Okay, cool. This is how we
there were 2 people who were smiling.
This is how we get to death race, and I'm
Brown.
Okay with that. Yes, Zach
Brown was smiling.
I think the whole team, they got the fastest pit stop ever, na?
Pastry was smiling. Lando was smiling. Lando somehow, most resilient British man I've seen. He seemed fine after the race. Right? Least British fellow. 100%. In the 1700s,
oh my
this
God.
guy. Oh,
Sorry.
wow.
I was getting the full McLaren out while you defended.
Right,
and I broke the top, which is why I was so taking
Oh my God.
Dude, it actually purposes.
That's
super
sick,
cool.
dude. It's purposes. Got enough given the suspension. Yeah.
That's
amazing. But I mean, look, what a McLaren and how you guys and Oscar Piastri. Is this the most impressive rookie season since Hamilton?
Dude,
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it's
far
like
away.
track record. It's played out throughout like
His
Formula
career.
2 history.
Yes, exactly.
Anyone who's just done like 1 year of I'm here just to win championship and go to F1 is that kind of driver. It's been Rosberg, Hamilton, and maybe that Russell and Leclerc era, and it's Piastri. And the other side has also worked out. Like if you've spent 3 years in F3 and somehow won the championship, like Grosjean or Hülkenberg or maybe even Mick Schumacher, it doesn't work out. Even let's say Gasly, maybe even if you spend.
For sure. Like I feel like the kids' credibility is just being reinforced at this point in time. Like wow, that sprint race. Like everybody, look, we were all very clear, right? As soon as Max came into second place, everybody's same thought was there's only 2 seconds. What's going to happen? Max Verstappen's going to overtake this kid, and that's it, done. But it didn't happen. He sustained the pressure. Same in the race as well. Like certainly, in lap 1 he got a little lucky and like fucking Moses parting the ocean, all these freaking cars took off
Yeah.
each other at the start, and he like
But
he
he
made it into
capitalized on
second.
it. He capitalized
No,
on
totally.
it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he could have shat bricks at that point in time. At the end of the race, freaking Lando Norris was like, "Bro, I'm coming. This
Yeah.
P2 is mine."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, totally on it and everything." So I kind of feel like Oscar Piastri, man, like, good job. And a word for Lando Norris, as in, man, he is. Everybody believes that Lando should have a race win by now. Like, there's not a single person who would not grant Lando Norris a race win. But he's always been the freaking, he's always been this so close yet so far. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Nico Hulkenberg. But in a very different situation.
Oof.
Like, what if Lando Norris goes
Oof.
on to have a career
Oof.
where he has
I
like a
hope not.
fuckload of podiums, but he's never able to sort of make a race win. I'm sure it's crossing his mind. He's been in the sport for long
He
enough.
said it also. Like,
Yeah,
you could see there was a little bit of bitterness, like in the sprint, where
Bitterness
he
is
was
like,
like,
man,
well, Piastri, he managed to get a win before
Yeah.
I could. Like, he
before
mentioned
I
it, so
could. He
it's
totally.
on his mind.
It bites. Yeah, it totally bites. And what must that do to your head? Like in terms of like, oh man, I'm always this like in second place or whatever, not going to make it. I'm reminded a little bit of Nick Heidfeld. Azim, you might remember, and maybe
yes.
or you guys like who watched it in the early 2000s would remember Nick Heidfeld. Like, he was such a great driver, BMW. He had so many great podiums. He was just never able to get that one Formula One victory. And it's like, shit, could this be happening to Lando Norris? But hey, if there's one team that will defend the shit out of the format of the Qatar GP shenanigans, I'm certain that it's McLaren, and gosh, what is there to be said about this 1.8 seconds pit stop?
Yeah.
So good, dude.
Just
Like, I saw it happening and I was like, wait, this is too fast.
That was
Yeah.
just.
Did
that
you
was
put all
next.
4 tires?
Yeah.
This is too fast.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was like some next level
No,
fast acting Eno
super-
or whatever. Like, yeah.
And again, another week, I found this McLaren stat again. Another week, another
Okay.
McLaren stat.
But do you guys see this going badly for McLaren, as in both of them also
Hey,
having...
don't say all of this right
No,
now. Like,
it's
I mean, right
already
now,
Hey,
like,
just
doing.
because your
I mean,
team crashed, now they also don't have to
no,
crash.
but
Yeah,
it
just-
is.
Yeah,
You had Lando on the radio going,
The
why
Russell
should I
tussle.
not? Why should I not?
Yeah.
Why should I not? Like 20 times. And I mean, and eventually it was
Yeah.
like, okay. But I mean, as you said, he's obviously slightly bitter, and it's already brewing where this rookie has come in and like he's winning where I've not won, or he's also out qualifying him most of the time.
You're right.
And at what
Yeah.
point do you kind of also as a team start backing him, which they did at this one where they said, right, that we're sticking with our positions or whatever, which obviously has did pinch Lando quite a bit, as you could hear. So I feel like that is, especially now with the powerful car, because they are the closest competitors to Red Bull, right? At this point, there's no one in that league, right now.
But Sherry, stop making so much sense. Now you're making me like freaking question McLaren now.
No, but also
Like,
you
what is
as
this?
a
I'm just, like,
team,
so
you have to be
happy I
very see, as a team, you have, especially with the start that McLaren had, you have to be like very, very comfortable and confident in the car to allow both the drivers to race each other. So like we've seen brief periods of the two Ferraris fighting. You've seen, for instance, even Max and Checo have been allowed to go at it. But I think for McLaren, it's the thing of, listen, this is turning out way better than we expected. Let's get the points. Let's get that 4th place in the championship, or potentially even 3rd, the way Ferrari is going right now. And I think that's always been the aim. Ki just fuck points mil raha hai, maximize.
But as Lando, at what point do you like lose your shit and be like?
I think it's too early. Like he's been in this situation maybe 2-3 times. I think you could say the reverse happened to Piastri a couple of times where he got screwed over by safety car, whatever,
But
and Lando was ahead of him.
Expect that, nah? That's what I mean. Like, as a rookie, you'll take it saying, okay, it's my first season, Stuart, I'm not gonna mess with my team or whatever. But here it's like,
I found the stat. I found the stat
Okay.
that
What is
actually
the stat?
really, I think, sort of sums their season up in one. And it's been and just, no pun intended, just the coming from behind of it all, right? 47 points this weekend for McLaren.
47 points.
47
Wow,
points this weekend for McLaren.
Good job, boys.
Versus, and again, this is important contextually. 46 for Aston Martin over the last 6 race weekends.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
For Alonso.
Like,
wow.
yeah, for Alonso. Okay, fine, for Alonso. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying
Yeah,
saying that
yeah.
the hype
Yeah.
train is real at least,
Oh,
right? Like in the
yeah.
sense.
Mm.
But like I said, another week, another McLaren stat in the second half of this season. And
So you guys think Lando's gonna hold it together through this?
But Sherry, I think this will only come to a head if they're 1-2 and Norris is clearly
Yeah.
faster and they're
But
told
even
to
here, they were second, third.
I mean,
It
it's
was like-
happened in Monza, no, where the Danny Rick was first. Also, that was in a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
bad
Yeah.
season, so they were like, "Listen, nothing to jeopardize this. Just finish
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
second,
yeah.
come."
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If race after race, they are competitive. They are up in the front. It is gonna be frustrating because he's gonna obviously keep trying to prove that I'm the senior here. I'm,
But like
Yeah.
for a race win, I think
Yeah, for
towards
a
the end
win,
of
I
the
think they
season-
would
yeah,
have
he's
to.
also very
like,
hungry for a win in general, right? I mean, as
and I
we
think it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
Not
only
like just-
come for the remaining races because
Though having said
Red Bull
that,
have stopped developing their car.
definitely. But did you not think that I kind of, though I loved like McLaren's race, having seen like freaking Russell scythe through the
oh
field like he
man, what a
was.
drive that was.
I kind of feel like though and this is what I was hoping Aditya Bhatt would be like Matt's uncle. Was Mercedes race pace better than McLaren race pace?
I
Like-
mean, I didn't spend too much time on it, but it didn't really make sense to look at it because they were like hammering qualifying laps, and obviously you'll get faster in 18 laps and then you'll change.
Yeah.
So the thing about Albon
But
company.
I kind of feel like, and this is why also sort of that whole first lap incident was a little bit disappointing for me as a Mercedes or as a Lewis fan or whatever, Lewis semi-stan around this was also because I kind of felt like they had good pace, like they
Yeah.
qualified really well,
Yeah, they did.
and Russell though the way he was coming through the field was kick ass. So I kind of
Yeah.
feel like
great
hey, maybe
overtakes,
that's
dude. Very
yeah,
good.
just imagine that soft tire move. Lewis is so
Yeah.
committed. Imagine they don't clash. He probably
P1
would
pass Max.
He would be P1. He would probably
Yeah,
be
yeah,
5
yeah.
seconds ahead in 3
Yeah.
laps. Easy.
Yeah. So yeah, easy, right? Like you're looking at a really great result for Mercedes. Then, given then how further back McLaren started, certainly it would have sort of
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
out. But I kind of feel like while I love the fact that McLaren finished like second and third and had such a great sprint as well, I kind of feel like hey, Mercedes is also looking like pretty fast, like in general. So yeah. One other thing on Mercedes, you guys I'm sure you heard the stat, but this was only the 6th time in his entire
Yeah, that
fucking
is-
300 plus race career that a first lap incident has taken Lewis Hamilton out.
Yeah.
Like 6th time.
That's a crazy
That-
stat.
That is freaking bonkers.
That's a crazy stat.
300. Yeah.
That's what
Like in-
got Nico also, no, where he was just like that. Can
Yeah.
you imagine the skill
Because
that
he was also sort of victim to one of those. The
So-
most dramatic of them in 2016.
Yeah.
The corollary to Alonso's statement about how he only knows how to drive from first is that he really knows how to drive from first. Is what I'm getting.
Okay, guys, should we move on to Perez? Because I think we need a whole episode to discuss what's going on.
I mean, before we get to Red Bull overall, because that's the
No,
this thing.
I don't think Perez is in Red Bull anymore. He's
Are
in.
there any
his
other
own group.
narratives or stories from this weekend that we?
I mean, there's a couple that I had made a note of. So, Alonso, very uncharacteristic. I think to see him dropping it twice in the same race and losing the car
dude.
was, I think it was probably conditions and old man cannot deal with anymore. If they had thrown water on him a little bit, I think he would not.
He would have been fine. Yeah.
Because it felt like he was driving on water, hoping that it's water. He's seeing an oasis in the
I
desert
can
and sipping.
imagine this where he comes in and they just get a bucket and douse.
I legit was hoping for it. I literally thought,
Yeah,
visor
yeah.
kholo, Bisleri feko,
well,
jao.
Bas, that's it.
Yeah.
Or just one guy going.
Like one AC vent, something they could
just
do.
something.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Something.
That
Like it
was
was one
bad.
uncle moment of क्या इतनी महंगी गाड़ी और AC भी नहीं है.
No, so that's what I was going to say. I think next season, purely because only Qatar can do this, because they have the money, I think they'll just air condition the entire track and be like, now what complaint you have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or at least they should have those mist blowers in the pit stop when they come in.
yeah.
That would be
You know,
fun.
one other side note that I also noticed was, did you guys notice Mohammed bin Sulayem or what?
Yeah.
And what an attention-hungry
Yeah.
freaking dude. Like, basically, as soon as the drivers came in to park for me and park their cars, he was there. Like, there was no team
like
guy, no
telling
bottle of water. Yeah, like telling Verstappen what to do.
It's
It's
like,
like,
hey,
bro.
Verstappen, अच्छा spot है ना, अच्छा spot है, मैं अच्छा चला रहा था spot.
अच्छा, मस्त है ना? मस्त है ना?
I was so attention hungry. Gosh, like, and I feel like all these other. There was this one moment where he's going up to talk to Max, and Max is kind of trying to ignore him and talk to Piastri. As if like, bro, just like chill, like, you
Like,
know?
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
just...
Yeah.
This
There
freaking
was,
clingy uncle come to take
uh,
selfie with Sunidhi Chauhan. I don't know, like, I mean,
One,
like, doing that kind of.
One, this thing is, wow. One quick this thing that we also should talk about, the fact that Alfa Romeo had a decent...
Yes, I was going to mention that. So
Yes.
Alphas somehow managed, and both of them, because of the stupidity of what penalties was going on,
Oh, yeah.
Zhou ended up with the point.
And
So
Bottas.
yeah, Bottas did well, and also quite interesting to note that all three rejected Red Bull drivers had 10-second penalties for track limits. Albon, Gasly, Perez, all three had
That's-
minimum 10-second penalties for track limits.
well, well, what does Red Bull know that everybody
Yeah,
else does
exactly.
not? Like,
Yeah.
they've been using AI to
Yeah,
weed
yeah.
this shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pere, हम लोग का
I
ही
mean,
drivers सब
Perez not been rejected just yet. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Perez
It's
not been
happening
rejected
eventually.
just yet.
It's a matter of
I think
time.
it's
हो
done
गया.
now. I think Perez
Like,
and Red Bull is
How
done.
embarrassing for Perez. He got 10-second track penalty,
Yeah.
and I don't think Max even got like
No, he got
one
20.
violation.
Where Perez
Like,
got like at
yeah.
least 15.
And
Yeah,
he was
but
Max
Max,
got
I don't think
no violation.
not a
Nothing.
single track violation,
No.
right? Like not a single
No.
track
Max
violation.
and Hamilton didn't get any.
No,
I mean-
yeah.
I mean, he just crossed the limit once, in fairness.
And
yeah.
Dominic says Ferrari pit stop time was also 1.93 seconds, but that's because they kept one car in the garage to avoid pressure. Otherwise, it would be 19.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Perez, Red Bull. We'll come to obviously like the epilogue on Max Verstappen's season, but at the other end of that sandwich,
it's
I
happening.
think Max Verstappen's season was summed up really great on Friday itself. Okay,
Yeah.
like basically he was so dominant in qualifying. He
Yeah.
had gotten out of the car.
yeah,
People
Yeah.
were still fucking doing laps outside.
yeah.
And bro was already like, नहीं मैं अभी इंटरव्यू
Like-
के लिए आया है, चलो करते हैं, and मेरे को घर जाने का है, उधर सिम रेसिंग करने का है.
It's
Like,
hot.
It's
It's
yeah,
hot. Literally, it's hot.
It's hot. It's hot. Yeah.
And the two
Literally,
guys
he
who
was
have come
out
on the
of-
podium with him are being told then कि नहीं तू podium पे
They
नहीं है,
did
you
today.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Oscar
that?
Piastri,
Oh
poor
my
guy.
god.
Yeah. Dude, even one sec, even when he won his sprint, he was like, even when he was in the race, he was like, I thought you were going to tell me I got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was dominance from the start. Like he literally was out of the car, and while others were still qualifying, just knowing that nobody's gonna beat this fucking time. And then Saturday, obviously, Perez did everybody a big favor by just like not even competing on Saturday. So the whole points question went out of the window. And gosh, what can we say about Max anymore? Like, does anybody have a point to say about
Yeah,
it?
it's just no. He was so good this year that like
Yeah.
I even saw Josh
Yeah.
laughing this weekend. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I don't know
for a
what
brief
else to say.
moment.
Like,
It
I
was-
saw
he was
Josh
like,
smiling, and it looked like a bad mid-journey creation, and it was strange.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't know how to deal with it. But yeah, Perez and Red Bull. Do you think they'll even make it to 24?
Man.
No, make it to 24
Now
for
he
sure.
Oh,
just-
yeah.
I would think, because he's still, whatever you say, in contention for that second place. So I think they're trying, and I was watching one of the, because when I was getting on my flight, I downloaded the Sky Sports Walla thing, and that comes with all the interviews and everything. And there was this Christian Horner interview that was happening with Martin Brundle, and so he asked a couple of things. Number one, he was like, with Checo, what's the situation? Like, he's not been driving well and all that. And I think Christian himself said that, listen, he just has to like stop thinking about, like, he's overthinking his driving too much. He just needs to just drive without worrying about the outcome. Just drive and do your thing. That's why we got you here. And also he was asked about like for the future? Like, there's been rumors, Lando Norris, this, that. Do you think, for instance, like having a Lewis or an Alonso or a Norris in the car along with Max would work? And he's like, we've seen this before, that you can only have one alpha in the team. So I think, although I don't know if that means you can only have one future Alpha Tauri driver in the team. I think it's pretty clear that as long as Max is around, it does not make sense for them to have somebody. If you have that guy who can consistently put it second, third, fourth, fifth, that does the job for Red Bull.
I mean, they don't even literally need that, right? Like they've won the constructors with Max pretty much.
Okay, but do you sort of more deep lore F1 enthusiasts, I pose this question: who was the last person to take second in the drivers' championship with this particular sort of run of results? Like if you put their results up on the board over the course of the season and went,
I mean, there was Vettel who had that great start of the season with Ferrari, and then it just all completely went to shit, and then just finished
as a
miles behind
teammate,
Lewis.
like say
But
Mark
as a
Webber and
teammate,
Sebastian, Mark
well, I'm saying
Webber
you're coming
maybe-
in second. You're coming in second in the championship. But if you just put those results up on a board anonymously,
it's
Right.
embarrassing.
Yeah, in the
But I
same
don't
equipment.
even know if he's going to come second anymore, right? Like the way it's looking, it's seeming more likely that Lewis will probably make it to second.
That's the Checo plan now. Just take out Lewis every race.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah, but I think all signs are pointing to one surprise January announcement, beaming Honey Badger is back or something like that, and like Checo has gone on, he's taking a sabbatical for a year.
Rather
or
let
something,
Honey Badger
you know,
first come back to Alpha Tauri.
Yeah.
Let Honey Badger come back there.
He's coming
first.
back, right? At Austin,
Yeah, he's coming back.
He's
There is
coming back to
no
Austin,
planet
yeah.
on which Daniel Ricciardo was missing America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
No
I
planet
feel
on
like
which like
Honey
that's his
Badger would
Netflix
be a
episode.
great fit because he's done this and he knows now that he can't act up, that he is the lead driver, and that is
Just
like
happy
and
to
also
be
come-
there.
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
excited to
If-
be here.
chasing
So
the
I-
He can play a
prodigal
good
son
ball.
returns. Like,
Yeah.
Like I
And
mean,
also,
Yeah.
like within the
right
Red Bull
now.
family,
Hmm.
even if he doesn't have recent anything to show for it, I think it's
Yeah.
still Daniel Ricciardo who takes that second
Yeah.
seat, because
For sure.
simply on the basis of how much worse than Checo can you be. But you've been here, done this before, plus how can
Yeah.
you be worse than this?
Yeah,
That's enough,
exactly.
I think.
I think the
Yeah, what do they have
biggest
to
issue
lose,
for
yeah?
them is like the mind game with the B driver in these teams, right? I think the car is there, so it's not about the car, it's about
But you're right, probably, Sherry. Like, I mean, Danny Rick is also older and wiser and much wealthier now.
and he's
Like,
been
I
there,
mean,
done that, right? Like he's
Yeah,
learned from that mistake of leaving
Yeah.
Red Bull and like all of this, and now he's like, oh my God, they've given me a seat again. And so I mean, I just
Yeah.
feel like he's in that zone right now where he'd just take anything and be happy with Red Bull. I don't think he's gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
unless
like
he
You
shows
know,
up
the
in
mindset-
Austin like wearing a cowboy outfit and shoots himself in the foot or something while doing some.
Oh my God.
I don't mean that metaphorically.
Shaq stands on him or something
But
like
like
that.
it
Yeah,
seems
horse.
highly unlikely, right, that Perez is coming back next season.
Next season, I doubt it. I think it's one of those
I think
ki
it's
magic
done,
is gone. It's done. But
And I think-
Ricciardo, the thing is, that once you're put in a competitive car and he
I know,
will get
once
that mojo
spark
back.
comes,
He will get
Yeah,
it back.
once that
If he's in a
spark
competitive
comes.
car, whoever it is, like an Oscar Piastri also now will walk
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
with like a spring in his step. Like, okay, I don't care if I'm a
Yeah.
rookie, I can win races. Like, I can do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So that you can
For
start
sure.
with that rookie mindset, but then you're like, Arey, but I can win. So why would I not want
Yeah.
to win? And then why should I let this guy win? So
Yeah, and then in those
it's tricky.
marginal calls type of situations, like the ones that like Russell and Hamilton seem to be having, like even Suzuka when they had their tussle on track and the Russell tussle on track
Yeah.
as well. Like I kind of feel like that's when your instinct kicks in. And to what Azim is saying, it's like in those marginal situations, are you going to give that gap when you know that there's a podium on the line or there's a race
But
win
I
on the
think
line?
right now he would, nah. I mean, given that
Maybe right now he would, but
Yeah.
like after
maybe 1 year
3
down the line, no. But that's when they'll replace
maybe.
him, which is what they keep doing.
Okay, guys, here's my marketing pitch for Red Bull.
Yes.
Arrive at Vegas, Instagram post, one slot
Yeah.
machine, 3 drivers going. Helmet
Dude,
Marco
no,
pulling
you have
the
to
lever.
announce it on the sphere. Helmet Marco.
Oh,
The sphere will be Helmet Marco.
Helmet
Very
Marco.
nice.
Okay, and it will announce like
Yeah.
who will live and who will die at Red Bull.
Yes.
You two will announce it. Bono will
You
announce
too.
it. Probably.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And after
probably.
Russell
That's
Tussle, it
true,
will be no Rick Rick, no Jig Jig.
Oh my god. You two will look at one of the drivers and be like, you too.
In India's preeminent premium
given
podcast
in a
on F1,
contrasting
guys.
situation to Perez, props to Williams, guys. I mean, they have done such a great job supporting Sargent.
Like
It's not
literally supporting to get him out of the
Supporting
car.
him,
and
yeah,
also,
yeah.
I mean, I think all credit to them to the way, like, you know, they spoke to him even over the radio and said there's no shame in retiring.
That's true.
Which is pretty
That's true.
amazing. I mean, for that, the way
Yeah.
that guy's having a season, I mean, like
Yeah.
the way, you know, Red Bull was talking to Perez was pretty much like scolding him, saying, dude, get your act
Yeah.
together. This is BS.
That's
Whereas
true.
here,
Yeah.
it was like, it's your call. You know, you don't feel good. There's no shame in retiring. Da, da, da. And also, they've publicly gone out and backed him and said, till the end of the season, we're not making a decision, which I think speaks volumes compared to what we're seeing here in terms of, you know.
This is
No,
where
yeah,
that
Jim.
if he dies kind of perspective of
Yeah.
Martin Brundle and all that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Because
Missed you, man.
it's irritating because you see, simple fact is Lance Stroll, even if
Yeah.
he's not passing out, he's little dangerous on track. Now
Yeah.
he's passing out, and someone made a point online that was very interesting, where if he crashes and God forbid he has that Grosjean kind of thing, and he's passed out, he can't extract himself out of the car. To
Yeah.
think about all this, not just gladiator.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, but I did feel that even with Logan, there was an little bit element of listen, if he keeps driving like this, he'll crash the car, so let him come only.
Anyway.
Like there was
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Possibly,
thought of
yeah.
that.
But as in, I'm saying
But I kinda-
publicly handled really well. Is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm saying
definitely.
compared to any other team on the grid, I
Yeah.
haven't seen anyone, like even with other drivers, like everyone was probably dealing with this shit, right? Like no one was
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, it's fine, stop the car and chill. Like,
Okay,
Yeah.
but
It would
also,
be- it would be
if
really
I
weird.
if I may interrupt here, sorry Azim, I didn't mean to
Mhm.
interrupt, but I just googled it because I remember reading about this earlier. Apparently, this guy doesn't use an in-race drinking system.
Who?
Logan
Logan
Sargent.
Sargent.
What?
Yeah, he apparently refuses like the hydration system. Now, that sounds like a self-inflicted wound.
Does it say
Wow,
why?
interesting.
That
Why does
sounds
he do
like a
it?
self. No, it doesn't. It just I don't want to like read the entire article like, on the podcast,
Yeah.
but
He
yeah,
wants
he has
soda.
revealed that he does not been using his drink system during his rookie season. Yeah,
During the rookie season. Okay.
this
that's
is a rookie
interesting.
season, right? I don't find it easy to do. So I just live with the fact that I hydrate before the race. And
Wow,
apparently he said
yeah.
this before Singapore. So
Interesting.
I don't know if anybody can fact
he's a-
check this in
maybe
the
he's a
comments.
peer and that's why he doesn't drink, like, because he feels like he'll want to.
अरे मूत ले मेरे भाई कुछ नहीं जाता मतलब
But-
भीग तो जाएगा तेरे को
This
ऐसे
is
पैसे
the-
मिल रहा है मूत ले
A
भाई।
lot of drivers have discussed this, right? Like, I guess that, like, because obviously it's 2 hours sometimes, whatever, and a lot of them pee in their suits. A lot of them are like, I could never do that. So I think possibly.
Sorry, someone in chat just said it's a free country, rah.
So,
So this is the
I mean,
anti-Kimi situation now, where team is like, you can have the drink. He's like, I will not have the drink.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But Yeah.
Shit, I was going to say something about Sargent.
about him being a peer or not.
No, I forgot what it was now. But yeah, anyway, it's okay.
I mean, he does lead the championship in terms of crash.
But why
damage,
else
so-
would you refuse hydration? I mean, I can't see any other reason that you could be like, no.
What I was going to say was that, I mean, I think if he's struggling that much, like, I mean, you would have to show sympathy and this thing about physical, because it would be very weird if he came on the radio saying, guys, I'm struggling, I can't do it, and then
हाँ.
his engineer is just abbe
हाँ,
yaar,
ये,
just
हाँ.
goes from the pit lane.
बोला था पानी पी, बोला था पानी
But there's
पी.
also, I think it could have been a, you know, like how they do with tires similarly, like when someone's struggling, they'd be like, everyone's struggling, just push through.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah,
like even that was not happening. They didn't nudge him to be like,
Yeah.
everybody's struggling. The conditions are crazy. Try your
I
best.
think in general, James Vowles is a little bit more empathetic towards his drivers. It seems like, and a good job by Albon in the sprint as well. Did he score like a point in the sprint? I think
he got 1 point. Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking for actually Williams. I thought they would have a better race, to be honest. Like it
No
also
straight.
seems
What
like
will Williams do?
Yeah, but it also seems like the Mercedes-powered cars were doing well here. So I was like, oh, maybe.
But since we're on the topic of Williams and Vowles, again, I was listening to one of his interviews where he was talking about how Williams are one of the teams that has protested Andretti coming into the sport because of the amount of... it was quite interesting. I mean, his perspective and just the Sky people and Karun Chandok just completely bashing him and saying, "Ki kya ho raha hai?" Basically, they were just doing that. But his point was quite interesting, where basically he was saying that they have to pay like a sustainability fee or whatever to come in. But it does not make up for the sport. So like he said that Williams, for instance, is bleeding in like multiple tens of millions this year. Like they've probably lost maybe 50-60 million this year. And he's saying if you're getting another team, what it does is sure, they'll get new sponsors and all that, but it reduces the pool of sponsors that we have, because we are already vying for the same number of how many Gulf oils and how many mobile ones and how many whatevers are you going to find that are going to put money into the sport. So he was like, I think he was saying that either you need to increase the fee that they are paying so that it's sustainable for everyone, or you have to wait until there is more profitability and sustainability, because he said half the grid this year is making loss, which is an interesting number. Like literally 5 or 6 teams on the grid are making
energy
huge
drink
losses.
Monopoly and bring rich energy drink back.
Rich energy leaves poor team. That's what
leaves team poor.
Yes.
Leaves team poor. Yes, guys, smash the like button. Sorry, I forgot to say this. Smash that button. Many people watching, not enough likes. Come on, do it. So much. We've given you Aditya Bhatt has done investigation. He watched Esteban Ocon. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Nice. There's been Morgan Sargent also, so many. There's been Lance
Slogan Sergeant. But are there any more points, or Maths, or shall anybody have anything else that they wish to speak about? I feel like...
Does anyone know what was being spoken about to Kevin Magnussen, where they told him do Alpha Bravo 1, and he's like, it does not make sense. What did not make sense? Does anyone know?
No, I have no idea. I can just say, and I feel like neither does Haas for the most part.
His Netflix login, like he was using somebody else's password, and then he was
They
like,
were
"No,
trying
it
to
does
keep him
not
awake
work."
because he was passing out, and they were like, just say something absurd, so he reacts.
Like बस न्यूट्रल में डाल के क्लच पे चला गाड़ी, ठीक है?
This was like,
अरे नहीं है slope.
He's no Michael, no. This is so not right.
The Haas version of that is that it just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
Well, which is our next race? Is it Austin or is it Las Vegas?
Austin first.
So it's Austin, Las Vegas, Mexico.
Yeah. Austin, then ostentatious.
Austin, Mexico,
and then...
Brazil, and then Vegas.
Oh, wow. Vegas is that
Why
late.
couldn't they just stick to the same country, finish all of it off, and then go to Brazil?
Shut up, okay? It's a sustainable plan that they have.
Yeah.
Okay, it's their new sustainability, sustainable way of sustaining. So shut up.
Hey, freaking Sebastian Vettel painted that buzzing corner or not?
It's
you
all
got
saved,
enough
guys.
sustainability
It's
for the
all
year. Now
saved,
we've got
right. There
The
are now
2023
6 more bees on Earth.
Yeah. 2023 ka sustainability quota is done. Aramco presents Las Vegas Grand Prix. Okay, let's just
You cannot say sustainability without B. Am I right? But you think what? After 1 year, he'll be like, "Ki, chhodna yaar, let me come back, be Red Bull number 2 driver. Let's go." That would be the dream.
Would be freaking epic. Yeah, what a
he
cool
comes to
would
defend
be.
his 4th title. You know, like the Undertaker comes back on Judgment Day.
Like next year anyway, Max. And Max would be fighting for his 4th world title next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Equal Sebastian's record. Yeah.
Will be fun.
So we're an investigative journalism and fan fiction podcast now. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got
But
it.
also, I have to ask just completely off. Do you think Max's relationship with Kelly Piquet will get strained if he wins more titles than her dad?
No.
Because he's got 3 now.
No.
Yeah, and Nelson also had 3. Yes,
3,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think Nelson might start looking up slurs for Dutch people. Beyond that, we don't know anything. Start looking for what slurs can I use.
Isn't
Salad
Nelson
truffle?
Piquet Jr. kind of estranged from his? Doesn't Nelson Piquet Jr. have a little bit of an estranged relationship with his father? And is Kelly also equally close? Anyway, this is not my forte.
Yeah, this is not the
Got
podcast
it
we
with
were
the-
looking for.
Yeah, wow.
This
Wow.
is kind of being like
The side page
some,
3.
like
The family behind the
Real
driver.
Housewives.
Like,
Real Housewives of Red Bull.
Yeah.
Sort
this
of
is the notebook
Real
10 doesn't
Housewives
show
of
anyone.
Red Bull.
This is the notebook 10 doesn't show anyone.
anyone.
This is the
Yeah.
blind
Ted
item
Black
book.
book.
Yeah. Black book. Yeah, the black book. Yeah.
Aditya, but before we devolve into further chaos, and just full on start like an F1 this thing account, please, maths us. So,
There's
there's no maths? Oh, there's no maths. Oh, that's fine. That's cool.
There is
Great.
there's one topic I want to talk about
Yes.
around
Yes, let's
maths.
talk about-
So
Yes.
you have
Okay.
like let's say
Science.
you have
With theoretical maths, guys. We've evolved.
Yes.
so you have car telemetry, and I know
Yes.
for a fact there is biotelemetry,
Yes.
right? Heart rate and
Yeah.
SpO2. or whatever.
Yeah. All of that.
Where is that for? Like there was one
You
interesting.
can't get it for Logan Sargent because he has telemilery, not telemetry. So
Very
I'm
nice.
very sorry.
Very nice.
You cannot get
Oh
it
my
for
God.
Logan. Shut up, guys.
Wow.
Shut up, guys. Okay. Shut up.
Wow. Nice. What do you get
There's a
when you
point
ask
I read on
35-year-olds?
on Autosport or something where it was very obvious. You take so much care, you care so much about extreme weather. There's also extreme weather, like when it rains so much and you red flag it, and you have biotelemetry on the drivers. You know a certain threshold for temperature within the cockpit. Just
That's a
red
very
flag
good point.
just because you can't see it.
Yes.
Yeah, but how you gonna tell the Qataris that their country too hot, bro? That they're you gonna be the one to tell them that?
I was just wondering, like, where would you have to place the sensor to tell that, like, Fernando's seat was really hot, like on his butt?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
No, but David Coulthard, so
Yeah,
was
he
it
said
David
that he
Coulthard
got,
mentioned
he got
a
on his
blister
ass.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
took pictures of it
Yeah.
and sent
Do
it
you
on
have
the
to-
McLaren
you have to
server.
have like a butt temperature sensor? Is that
It's called a
something?
thermometer.
Oh no.
Just put it.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to disrupt the temperature measurement industry. That part is handled.
But that was the whole debate, no, Aditya, of is this like a money versus health situation? Like, are you putting drivers in harm's way because there's a lot of money coming?
I think it's a great sponsorship opportunity. Fitbit presents, like, you know how they have Amazon AWS like presenting, and they have Fitbit presents, and as soon as it goes above a certain threshold, butt
Yeah,
temperature sensor
Just give
says
it
it's
like open source for
120.
like I can
Yeah.
make PPTs out of it and be like, when he was
Oh, this on your
overtaking,
CV?
look at
Yeah.
the heart rate.
His heart rate was this, and his thing was this, and
When he turned into this corner, his heart was racing.
Heart was this thing.
and hopefully we don't end up with like a Tour de France style situation where what it really tells us is that the only legal contestant was the guy who came 23rd. And if we were really awarding fair.
And that was Logan Sargent because only he was not consuming the drugs from the water.
Yeah, the drink. Yeah.
Dude, he's from Florida. Don't give the QAnon guys any more water conspiracy theories, please. Microchip mein pani.
But it's a great point, and I feel like a great sponsorship opportunity for Fitbit. Fitbit presents.
But I don't even think this whole
Fitbit
driver
presents
situation.
driver has shat himself, like something like that. Oh shit.
And then
like,
it tells you the
like-
poop consistency
Yeah.
also.
Consistency,
Because
temperature.
I go to F1 for deep data, right? Like I
Data,
don't want
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Like I want.
But do you guys think
Fitbit
this
presents
whole
it's a number one, not a number two.
driver situation would have, like, the FIA would have even made a statement if it wasn't in the media? Because I think they were just trying to not address this. Like, only once the drivers came out and said this is what happened, and then since there were 6-7 people talking about it, I feel like they were forced to make that statement, which is why I think they were just trying to brush it under the
Sherry,
carpet.
as somebody who is constantly entertained and delighted by this sport, I still firmly always believe that the FIA would not do shit unless they were caught with their hand in a cookie jar, alright? Like, the FIA, I'm sorry, will not do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just got to a point where, see, look, it's one thing if it's happening like in the background, right? But today, if your post-race and during race imagery is showing, right, drivers just saying, boss, I physically can't go on. And even when your post-race interviews are happening, your other two drivers are just flat out lying there.
Yeah.
And, in your cool-down room, and then like Lando's coming out and saying half the guys are just like sort of, on the floor in the medical tent or whatever.
Yeah.
Then there's no scope, right? And I feel like with the FIA, just what I've come to expect, like as an organization, is you're not sorry it happened. You're sorry that like everybody saw it happen.
Exactly.
That is
feel
what I
like
firmly
this is
believe.
something they knew and they anticipated, but it's like,
But but Mohammed bin Salam was more interested in taking the selfie with the drivers on stage
Of
and
course.
getting his Sunidhi Chauhan CD signed or whatever the hell. Like,
Of course.
freaking drunk uncle. Yeah, no, clearly. I think,
And also one protest I have
it's not in
with
FI's
of
interest.
all these Middle East races. I know you can't do alcohol, but one beverage with proper fizz you can't put out in the bottle.
just Coca-Cola.
Just Coca-Cola dal hai.
A pet bottle.
With Mentos.
Yeah.
With the Mentos in it. That's it. That's all. Lando Norris doesn't have to do that thing then that he does. Just
What is this
Mentos.
nonsense time pass funny?
Or have a pitchkari.
Yeah.
Instead of this thing, just have pitchkaris for everybody.
Indian Grand Prix.
Indian Grand
Indian
Prix.
GP.
Yeah,
Hashtag
because
2025,
number one known for temperate this thing for most of the year
Definitely.
is Greater Noida. Yes.
Greater Noida.
Greater.
Yeah.
The temperate
It's in
cool
May.
but a
highlands of
Piscari would solve Alonso's
It's a
problem.
daytime race in
It'd be
May.
great where as he comes in,
Yeah.
you give him one.
Great.
Pitchkari, yeah.
Logan Sargent airport से ही चला जाएगा. Alright, that's it. Anything else we want to talk about? Apparently Mercedes will introduce a new floor in Austin. They have upgrades coming. Apparently Haas has upgrades coming. Home race for them technically, right? Like
Yes.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
only American team
for
on
the
the grid.
American team there. So there we go. And we go now to Texas.
But another late night for all of us again. Like a
what date is
12:30 a.m. start or something like that. Bloody American races.
Why
This is
they
a
can't
problem.
have? I'm going to start watching
Yeah.
Super Formula, dude. This Japanese Grand Prix is best.
Grand Prix is the best.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. This
Best
10:30, 11 a.m.
brunch
Grand
race.
Prix.
Oh.
So good.
Brunch
So good.
race. Yes, exactly.
It's like
good,
UFC
so good.
timing.
It's so
Yeah,
convenient.
Give
Like
me
it's on a
Australia,
Sunday.
give me
If
Japan.
it's
yeah, give
boring,
me
you can
Australia,
go back
Japan.
to sleep also, like in that Sunday sleep only without ever
Yeah.
fully exiting.
Very for working people at 12:30 race now. It's just torture. But no he was stuck in traffic for the last two podcasts, you guys. That's why he wasn't there. Yeah.
Aditya, but I went and saw Trevor Noah in Mumbai, and
Ooh.
I'm just very happy to tell you that y'all were lucky.
Yes.
Is all.
More important, you saw, you also heard.
I saw
Which is
and
the key
heard.
difference.
Very key
Yeah,
difference. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and he spent 25 minutes telling us about like why he didn't perform in your city, and it was great. It was
Nice.
very entertaining. Yes. On that note, any other thoughts? Any shows? Any this thing? To push over the next few weeks. The floor is yours, friends.
We are doing,
We have show,
I'm
yes,
doing your
tomorrow.
show
Yes,
tomorrow.
Azim and I are doing show tomorrow. There's a few tickets left at the Habitat. It's at 8 p.m. There's also another great lineup show happening on the 15th
And
of
20th.
October at NCPA, for which tickets are going. There's a 7:30 show and a 5:30 show because the 7:30 show is almost sold out. So tickets have been added for the 5:30 show. A great lineup of multiple comics. On the 13th,
Nirav in the chat brings up a good point, and maybe the comedians on this podcast can address. Like, why the fuck is Jimmy Carr happening in Mulund, you guys? Like, what happened? Like, what the hell happened with that booking? Like, why is it happening in Mulund?
Because I don't want to get it. I'll tell you offline why all this.
Yeah,
is
okay.
He will literally spend most of his time in one car only.
That's a Jimmy
In
Carr.
car only. Oh,
Yeah.
Jimmy Carr.
Like, bye, Andar, come.
From this thing. On the third, wait, guy, I'm not done.
Ah,
On the
sorry.
13th of October, this is the most important one. Sahil Shah and I are, at least for me, for the first time ever, coming to Nagpur.
Oh wow, that's the Bufaj.
Yes.
Bufaj is super fun.
It'll be should be fun. So we will be going there. So on the 13th, this Friday, if you guys are in Nagpur and if you guys are free, please come. And yeah, bunch of other shows will be announced next week.
28th, we are doing the big auditorium show as well, the
At
Bandra
NCPA?
one. No,
No,
that's
at
in
the Bandra
Rang
one.
Mandir.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rang
So
Mandir.
I am
That's
recording
happening on the
stand up that day.
28th.
So come.
Yes, so that is also a thing that's happening. 25th, which is next Wednesday. There's another rough work column happening. Azim, you are on that
I'll
one
come.
as well. So that's happening at the Habitat next Wednesday if you can't make it to tomorrow's show. And yeah, that is about it for this week. Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's the podcast. This has been the Sidepod Qatar GP edition. Smack the like button one more time on your way out, please, friends. Very thank you. Thank you, Aditya Bhatt. Thank you, Arjun Esravi. Thank you, Azim Manawat. Thank you, Shani Shroff. Thank you to our audience. And thank you and congratulations once again to Max Verstappen and to Josh Verstappen and that petrol pump that he was once left at.
And in closing, I will keep my virtual background as a tribute to what all drivers were feeling during that race.
Yes, go for it, sir. On that note, thank you, friends. Goodbye. Enjoy. Shubhratre.
Bye. Oh, no.